Folks, thanks for coming on the line with us today. This is John Dubas with the brokerage here in Louisville, and we'll be spending a bit of time today discussing some of the ancillary benefits that are available to you through a contract with Cigna. It's one of our favorite carriers, a large, well-known national carrier, and what you're seeing on the screen right now is our website where you can access some of the material that we'll discuss, but also we will be sending you, as part of a follow-up to today's presentation, the recording of today's presentation and the PowerPoint that we're going to be using for the critical illness products that we're going to go through here today. If you look at our website, you can go to our products section, go down to supplemental health programs, and you'll see a categorization of a number of the programs that are available through a number of the different carriers. And if we look into the world of critical illness at this time, click on that box, you'll see a number of different carriers with information available to you. The carrier that we're talking about today, obviously, is Cigna, and we're going to be looking at cancer, heart attack, and stroke coverage with specified disease option. So you're going to see some different things that come available to you in these circumstances. What you have here then are a number of other carriers that are also an option for you, and you have then faced with the dilemma of what do I sell and why. Well, when we go through and we talk about our website and some of the tools that are available for you and to you, keep in mind the information that you're seeing here is information that is available to the general public. So there are also some pieces of information that you have to be registered on the site for and logged into the system. So let's do that right now. Let's log into the system. You'd think I could spell my own login correctly. And you can register, of course, if you haven't registered. This is a site, the part of the site that gives you access to information that we don't want available to the general public for a number of different reasons. One, it speaks to some comparisons of plans that we wish the general public to go through you for. And then, of course, it's also here very shortly going to hold information on next year's Medicare Advantage plans when that information comes available and before the time that it's available to the general public. So that now that we've logged in, we are going to look at a piece under the Tools section and go to the cheat sheets. And you'll see here that there are cheat sheets available for supplemental products. And if we look at it, it will give us kind of a starting point for discussion on the different ancillary or supplemental products, and then we'll roll directly into the Cigna program itself. So you have this then categorized, a lot of good work done here by Daniela in our offices here, where you have categories across the bottom with the different programs that are available and side-by-side comparisons. So we're looking at critical illness and cancer programs here today. So this information is available to you through the website. So remember, you log into the system, you go into Tools, and you can pull up cheat sheets. The program itself, let's talk about some of the specifics for Cigna's supplemental solutions. It's insured by their loyal American subsidiary, and these are programs that are available for you to use, as you saw on the website, for people through certain age periods, and we'll go through that in a minute. What you have are basically some different things that we're going to discuss as to why you would want to sell cancer and heart insurance, speak to some specifics on the cancer policy and its coverages, the heart policy and its coverages, the specified disease rider, an accidental death and dismemberment rider. We'll go through some sample rates and some underwriting guidelines and give you a short summary. Why sell cancer and heart attack stroke coverage? Well, they're products everybody needs. If you think about your own personal experience and the people that you know and you love and the people that you don't care as much for, you can think of a number of individuals within your own personal experience that have been affected by both of these types of illnesses. I can think of cancer. I have an older brother who has fought testicular cancer and beaten it. And then my mother went through a number of challenges with her cardiovascular system, including a number of heart attacks and strokes. So you can look at your own particular circumstances and realize that there are people out there that this is a strong product of demand and as a product that you can probably relate to really, really well. And this is also a product that gives you an opportunity to market to a larger demographic than just one segment of the population. We speak a lot of the individual major medical products, both under the ACA umbrella and those that are considered more Medicare products. And it is a span of individuals that are obviously, for the most part, a narrower span than the 18 to 80 age groups that this can address. And in both of those categories, for folks who have a metallic plan, one of the ways they reach their high deductible very quickly is to undergo challenges because of a critical illness, specifically heart and stroke incidences, and then of course being afflicted by cancer. So what we have then is a circumstance where these policies can help those individuals on the ACA metallic plans plan for those expenditures and help budget much more efficiently by having another plan in place at a much smaller premium than you might expect to help deal with those expenses. And if you look on the Medicare side, so typically if you pull out the 65 to 80 portion of this demographic, you also have people there that are affected by challenges because of heart and stroke and cancer. Cancer, the radiology treatment that is most effective with it in many circumstances with a Medicare Advantage product, well, that person is subject to a 20% coinsurance. So you have then individuals who are benefiting from these programs because they can budget much more efficiently. And as we note, once you get into some of the higher ages, obviously you have a higher incident of this occurring as well. Oh, pardon me for a moment. Flickered there on you. A nice thing to consider as well is one of the things we talk about when we speak to cross-selling is the more products you have in a household, the higher your persistency with all of those products. So as you go through and you address needs of the individuals that you have already policies with and augment those coverages with a coverage such as this, you're going to drive up your persistency on all of the policies. And what it doesn't say here is you're also keeping someone else out of the house that may do that in your stead. Statistics show, and a lot of the things that you'll see come from perhaps property and casualty carriers, but you'll show that the higher the number of products you have in a household, the higher your persistency is going to be. And what that also means is you have multiple commission streams coming into you and your agency, and it's well worth the time to offer additional coverages such as this. It also creates a discussion with your clients that leads to additional prospects, because as you speak to and address the circumstances that dictate this sort of coverage, you have people who will think in their own circumstances, boy, I think of Brother Jim, he had cancer. This is something that, his family is really aware of. It's been over 10 years since he's had it. He might qualify for it. And boy, I know his wife had to really deal with some of those bills. It might be a good thing for her, and their kids are growing now, so there's additional referrals that are available as well. In addition to that big old thing of serving our clients where we are helping them budget and give them better coverage. And if you look at it statistically, men have slightly less than a 1 in 2 lifetime risk of developing cancer, and women a little more than 1 in 3 risk. So it happens a lot. And an estimated over 81 million people have had one or more types of cardiovascular disease. High blood pressure, cholesterol problems, challenges with heart attacks and strokes. It is out there, and as our population ages and as we grow ever heavier, it's going to happen even more. Some of the additional things to consider with this is obviously the economic impact it has on a household. The average out-of-pocket cost for some cancer policies or some cancer patients are more than $700 a month, because we have to take into account the fact that it's not just the medical expense, it's the lost wages, the additional expenditure from seeking care outside of your home, where if family comes along, there's additional expenditures there too. And we're seeing more and more high deductible medical plans purchased because of ACA programs and the metallic plans, or even within the Medicare population, a ever increasing emphasis on Medicare Advantage plans because of the maximum out of pocket it can help for people with, and the regular copays and budgeting that comes along with it. But that maximum out of pocket and those high deductible programs, that is still a major expenditure that many people will choose to address with a program like this. I mentioned just a moment ago some of the things that come along with a diagnosis of cancer or heart attack that mean additional expenses. Think about it. The transportation, not only for the patient but the family, in getting the coverage or getting the treatment that they need, home care once they're done with the treatment. I don't know if you guys have ever had to deal personally with someone who has just come out of chemotherapy or just dealt with a stroke. There's home care that is involved there as well, and in many circumstances that is provided by family members who go uncompensated for that care. So that's an expenditure not only for that home care help if they're brought in from the outside, but the loss of wages for people that are providing it that aren't compensated. If that individual who is afflicted by cancer or is fighting through the heart attack and stroke after effects, and they have children, well, they need help with that child care as well. We talked about, kind of layered in, the expenses for out-of-town care along with transportation. And then, of course, many of these folks will work with more holistic sources of treatment and look for over-the-counter medications that aren't covered by insurance at all. One of the things that we think is a very viable solution for these challenges is a combination product offered by Cigna that includes lump sum payments for certain expenses, including named medical expenses, some of the prescription drugs that they have to deal with. And keep in mind, many times these prescription drugs that are prescribed, even if they are covered by regular insurance, may be a high tier that is a fairly high out-of-pocket expenditure anyway. And then they got to deal with the normal stuff with insurances, such as deductibles and coinsurance. Many folks will seek additional options outside of the traditional mindset of medical care, experimental therapy, or more holistic approaches, and those are normally not covered by regular insurance, so an additional expenditure. And then, of course, there's always the unexpected, the different things that come about that cause additional expenses. You go through chemotherapy, it affects more than just the tumor. It affects many things you wouldn't think of. Your teeth. There are dental expenses that are brought about by chemotherapy and radiation treatment. Some other things that come into play. You have a person who is fighting a stroke. Well, there's a good possibility they may have to adapt their home to the after effects of that stroke, where they have to construct a ramp or put in handrails and different things into the home, and that's an expenditure that sometimes you don't think about until you have to deal with it. So you look at a product like this that is available to people between the ages of 18 and 80, and they have benefits amounts available to them with a lump sum payment between $5,000 and $50,000. It can make all the difference in the world to the folks who have to deal with this. The lump sum cancer payment is available on first diagnosis of cancer, if it's invasive, or carcinoma in situ, which is a non-invasive cancer, and it works based on percentages depending upon that diagnosis. Invasive cancer at 100%, the carcinoma at 25%. The benefits can range between $5,000 and $50,000, and those can vary by state as well as to what's available. And the child maximum benefit is the lesser of $10,000 or the total parent benefit. Remember, once again, available to folks between the ages of 1880 and, the caveat here, their dependents. So some things that you can do to cover a household as well. One of the nice things about the first diagnosis cancer benefit policy is the fact that it does have a reoccurrence benefit. So it's not a burn through it once and it's done. Coverage can continue even after a claim for the benefits. The reoccurrence benefit is part of the policy, so it's not at additional cost. Translation, it's included at no additional cost, just like it says here. And the customer or the designee can receive the amount not to exceed an additional 100% of the selected benefit amount upon additional diagnosis of cancer or carcinoma, provided that the designee has been treatment-free for at least 2 years from the date of last diagnosis. So it's a 2-year reset at a percentage. And that goes in then at 25 and 10%, or after 5 years at 75 and 25%, and then 10 years or more, it's back to the original benefit at 100% and 25%, depending upon the diagnosis. The heart attack and stroke portion of this pays the selected amount if the person insured receives a first diagnosis of or for a procedure for one of these qualifying events. So you've got a chart here that lays out the different events that triggers different payments. And if the person's diagnosed with a heart attack, it's 100%. The heart transplant, it's 100%. The stroke, 100%. Then you get into some of the percentages based on specific additional activity. Much of it's surgically based. The coronary artery bypass is 25%. The aortic surgery is 25%. Heart valve replacement or repair is 25%. If the person goes through an angioplasty or the insertion of a stent, it's 10%. So you see those payments based on a percentage of the coverage that is available. You can also take and have these policies individually or wrap them together, and the benefit is then paid directly to the insured or their designee in one lump sum. It is payable regardless of any other coverage. So that's one of the reasons we're such a big fan of this, is because someone has their base coverages with the holes in it that they need the coverage for. This is where it comes into play. It is guaranteed renewable for life. The premiums don't increase when moving to a higher age bracket, so they're not age banded. And dependent children are covered until the age of 19 unless they're enrolled as a full-time student, and then that coverage is extended to the age of 26 or until they are married. Where you use one portion of the policy as the base and then the other as the rider, you can work it either way. So you can have a cancer policy with a heart and stroke rider, or a heart and stroke policy with a cancer rider. You can also have the opportunity of adding the specified disease rider. And this rider pays the selected amount if diagnosed with any of the covered specified diseases found in this chart. It too is available in amounts between $5,000 to $50,000, and the maximum benefit for children is $10,000. So if someone comes down with Lou Gehrig's, ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis at 100%, someone suffers from coma, 100%, end-stage renal failure, 100%, major organ transplant, 100%, MS, 100%, dealing with paralysis 100%, severe burns 100%. So this is available as a rider, and if 2 or more diseases are diagnosed in the same day, they pay only one benefit amount. So go to different doctors different days, I guess. Each insured person is limited to one covered specified disease benefit amount. So that kind of, my snide comment before is, well, you got one of them. They'll also pay the cash event, or the cash benefit, if the insured suffers an accidental death or dismemberment within 90 days following a covered accident due to the injuries suffered in that accident. So you can choose different levels of coverage from this, including $100,000, $75,000, $50,000, or $25,000 per covered person. The maximum benefit for the children involved is $25,000. And what do they get? Well, loss of life, it's 100% of the benefit amount chosen. So critical illness, kind of like a life insurance rider of sorts on it as well. If a person suffers the loss of one eye, hand, foot, arm, or leg, it's 10% of the benefit selected. More than one arm, leg, foot, hand, or eye, it's 20%. Makes sense. You got 2 of them. And the total amount payable for the injuries received in a covered accident shouldn't exceed the amount payable for loss of life. So if you lose 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 feet, you got 6 of them that add up to 120%. They're only going to pay 100%. Here are some sample rates. This is based on a 33-year-old male who's a non-smoker. If the person was to procure a cancer policy with a $25,000 coverage, it'd be $11.88 a month. $50,000, $23.75 a month. Add the riders in. If you have the 25 coverage for both cancer and heart and stroke, it goes to $26.25. The $25,000 coverage for cancer, heart and stroke, and specified disease takes it up a little, right around $4 to $30.21 a month. And then $50,000 coverage for both cancer, heart, and stroke is $52.50. If you think about it, even at $50,000 coverage for cancer, heart, and stroke, that $52.50 is a lot easier to budget for than a high deductible metallic plan and the out-of-pocket expenditure that would come all at once for that. Some of the underwriting guidelines: it's simple underwriting based on questions from the applications. There's no attending physician statement or paramed exam. There are no exclusion riders. There are no rate-ups. They'll use a declinable drug list and a height-weight chart, and there will be phone verification required only if submitting a phone sale app, which is available through a toll-free number Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 p.m. Central Time. So this is one of the tools that you can use with a current client base. Do a phone application, cut down your windshield time, do some things semi-electronically, well, telephonically in this circumstance, and really help maximize the use of your time through this process. Some of the advantages you have with using the Cigna program is the products have available a phone sale, and you're completing an application with phone sale on the signature line, so you don't have to get a wet signature on it, and then you can submit that via fax or mail. You can do a face-to-face, obviously, and submit that application via fax or mail, or you can use the Express app, which is Cigna's online service, to both quote and complete the application for the policy in whatever form is best for that individual. A bit of a recap: if we look at the cancer insurance, you're looking at select amounts from $5,000 to $50,000. The benefits are paid lump sum, one lump sum direct to the insured or the designee. The age range for this is between 18 years of age and 80 years of age, and the dependent children of that primary insured. The reoccurrence benefit means the coverage doesn't end when a claim is paid once. You can add a heart and stroke or specified disease and or an AD&D rider, an accidental death and disability rider, and it is guaranteed renewable. It's the cancer policy. The heart and stroke program, very similar as you go down the line. It too is available in amounts from $5,000 to $50,000. The benefits are, once again, lump sum direct to the insured or their designee, the same age span of 18 to 80 independent children. The percentages are paid available for other heart procedures. We went through that, like the stent or the aortic repair, those things. And then, of course, you can add the other half, the cancer, or the specified disease and accidental death and disability riders as well. It is also guaranteed renewable. Pretty simple presentation when you come through a couple of specific programs that could be a very valuable part of your entire portfolio. And I think one of the things that we find in a lot of circumstances when we go to speak to ancillary benefits is sometimes we overthink it. And on part of this, we go back to just some of the different pieces and we realize how many people are affected by these conditions. Once again, go back to your own personal circumstance. Think of all the people you know that have fought cancer or deal with the after effects of a heart attack or stroke and how that influenced them and their lives and the lives of their family and the folks that deal with them all the time. It's mind-numbing. I know in my own personal circumstance, after Mom's heart attack and strokes, it changed my father's life expectancy. He predeceased her because of the care he gave Mom, I think was a contributing factor. And of course, it affected some of the things that Mom would have liked to do thereafter. And it then affected family directly in the area who had to care for them. So there are different things that come into mind when we look at why do we want to offer an ancillary program such as this one. Well, think of how many people deal with the challenges brought on by the illnesses and then also how that affected them economically. If we look then back to the website and we think of these people that we could help with these policies, it's important to note that contracting for these programs can be fairly simple. You set up either through contracting link here or through the contracting button here a profile of yourself, and basically you're filling out a somewhat generic contract for multiple carriers. You're putting in your personal information and then it allows you to select multiple carriers electronically. It autofills them, makes the contracting process very simple for you. So some things that can be done fairly simply and fairly quickly. It is our solution to carpal tunnel challenges. You don't have to fill out a whole bunch of apps. You don't have to worry about a contract being filled out incompletely because it'll walk you right through the process. So once you have determined that the product is something that you need, the carrier is something that you need, and you've contracted, obviously there are a number of things that you can do to then get in front of people. We've spoken to the fact that many of you may have a book of business that need these products. There are holes in their coverages, or there might be people that you use this for as a general prospecting tool. And you can go into some of our lead generation pieces and look to the things that we offer to help get you in front of people in these circumstances. Go to our lead generation menu, the tools that are there, and it'll give you an idea of some of the support that is there for you. You can do some combination of marketing techniques with this product being part of that combination and using some of the other programs that you might have play from products that you already sell. Lead mailings. You can mail for these products. You have a couple of carriers that will give you great lead support for it. Cigna has some wonderful marketing tools available on their agent website. You have some other carriers like Washington National that actually have mail programs specifically set up for supplemental or ancillary benefits. So some things that you can do to generate leads very economically. And as you go through and start to produce on some of these different things, there is also, of course, the Crazy 8 program that we offer here with Brokerage Bucks that allows you to have that marketing support subsidized by our organization. You do 8 apps in a 30-day period through any of these categories, you can mail for whatever category you'd like as well. And that's a $450 value that we take care of for you once a month. So some wonderful things that can come into play as you get in the stream of it and produce. There are also some different things that you can do community-based. Right now we're doing a big rollout on retail programs. We have information that's come available within the last week about Walmart, about HEB, and about carrier-specific pieces for MAPD plans. But if you look at some of the programs that are more portfolio-based is the word, I guess the concept I'm looking for, because 2 of the retail programs we use are specifically for carrier MAPD plans with United Healthcare and Aetna. You have 3 other options that will allow you to market ancillary products as part of your retail experience. It's the old piece that comes into mind, and Cigna uses it a lot. Do you want fries with that? Asking one more question. You're covering their basic health care, and then you're looking to cover holes in that basic health care through ancillary programs. So you can use some different things here through the community-based programs. And there are also the opportunities when you look at these particular programs of working with providers who provide care for those individuals. Keep in mind, many times you're not able then to insure their actual patient, but you're ensuring a hotbed of activity because the patient's family realizes the costs that come into play when you're dealing with the treatment of cancer or heart and stroke, and you can then work with oncologists, or you can work with cardiologists or pulmonologists to help them with the cost that is associated with the treatment of those illnesses, just by targeting some of the right providers as part of the program. So some different pieces that will come into play there as well. For those of you who have a book of business, we have recently also started a call center that can help you set appointments with your current book of business. So if you have folks that you already have a relationship with and would like to revisit them for other products, this might be the ideal scenario for you to use for it. It is intended initially for final expense, a great way to get in there and deal with the pre-planning process. But then as you're in that home, you do a mini fact finder, and it opens an opportunity for a number of other sales for demand products, dental products, vision products, or products that deal with critical illness such as cancer or heart and stroke programs. So a number of different things that can come into play here for you. That is all part and parcel of looking at a portfolio approach, doing a mini questionnaire, and working to drive the persistency of the business you already have in play. One of the things that we found with the call center is many times as they dial through a person's book for you, the agent, as your scheduler, without cost to you, is they'll find that many times that individual may not have the original policy that was put in place any longer. And that's an opportunity for you to rewrite in many circumstances and then add to through the care center or through the call center. So you've got a number of different programs we want to put into play here for you. Obviously, we'd like for you to work with us for a portfolio approach with a number of products, including the programs you need for both your current clients and prospects with these supplemental health plans. You can contract quite easily. You can use different tools to find a comparison between carriers and work different lead generation systems to have it come into play. We'd like to invite you to become involved in marketing ancillary products. Daniela in our office is a great resource for you. You have the option to go to the tool section and look at the cheat sheets and work through some of those programs that we talked about with the different marketing support that is available to you. Watch for the follow-up to today's presentation, and if you'd like further details on the Cigna ancillary products or other programs that we may offer, just respond back to that email and we'll reach out to you as quickly as possible and follow through to see what we can do to help you sell additional product to both your book of business and new people. We look forward to visiting with you down the line. We want to thank you for spending some time with us here today, a little over a half an hour. We appreciate the investment of that time, and we look forward to speaking with you really soon. Thanks so very much, and hey, happy selling.